So as you're creating your environment and thinking about what pieces you want to animate in that environment, also depending on which class you are part of, you're either going to animate three different things in your setting or one thing. So you kind of have to plan out ahead of time what specifically it is that you want to animate. In my case, I went in thinking I'm gonna try to animate clouds. And when you know what parts of your environment you're animating, that's when, as you start drawing, you're gonna start separating those things. So I did my background in a separate one because I wanted it to be behind my ground and my tree. And then my tree, honestly, I should have put the tree in a separate layer, because now you can kind of see like this line going in front of it. But for the sake of the tutorial, we're just going to ignore that and focus on the actual animation portion of it. So for this one, all I want to do is I want clouds to be passing by. Now, this frame, this little black thin line of a frame, that is, think of it like your camera lens. So anything that's outside is not going to show up. So because I know the clouds are going to be passing by, this is why I chose to draw some clouds out here, because, ooh, wrong layer, because I knew I was going to be moving them. And so I wanted some extra clouds to move into frame as I shifted them over. So again, my clouds are in a completely separate layer, and I chose to put this at 20 frames long, all of them. Let me start it off by starting it at 1. Let's see, is there a shortcut for this? Let me delete these so I can show you how I got it to. So when you draw your environment, it's only going to be 1 frame long. So if I know I want it to be 20 frames long, I'm just going to highlight by holding shift, right click, extend exposure, and that extends it to frame 20. So now I'm going to go to my cloud layer. So this layer right here, I'm going to lock these just so that I don't accidentally mess with them. And the only thing I want to do is I want my clouds to slowly be moving towards the right. To do that, we need to add something called a peg. So the peg little key is right here, right above the plus sign for your layers. So you're going to add a peg. And what that does is that gives you this space on top to add keyframes. So we're going to go to the very, very beginning, and we're going to add a keyframe. So right here, KF with the plus sign, insert keyframe. We're going to add it there. That's telling the peg this is where I want it to start. And then I'm going to go to frame 20. And I'm going to use this. Well, first off, we want to make sure that our animation is turned on. This little man, like this little man right here, this running character. If it's off, actually, if it's off, you'll see that it changes. So we need it by default. It's usually on. So we're gonna switch to our transform, which is this. And because we're working on the cloud layer, it selects everything in that layer. This is why I wanted to draw my clouds on a separate layer from everything else, because when I add a peg and I try to move it, it's gonna move everything in that layer. And so now, again, let's turn this off. You'll see it turned red. We want to make sure it's on, and it is yellow. So all I'm going to do is go towards the center and move this to the right. And you'll notice, because I was in frame 20 and I moved it, it now sets frame 20 to end right here. And this line, that line is the in-between frames. So you'll see as you move your cursor, it's moving your clouds. So if you play it back, I mean, those clouds move pretty fast, but you can adjust the timing. And also remember, it's 20 frames. If you're doing 24 frames per second, this is less than a second. So that's how you would move things back and forth like that. So depending on what it is you're animating, this could be very helpful. And then let's say in the middle of this, I don't want it to be linear. Maybe I want it to move down a bit like this. You can still add different movements to it. You'll notice it added a keyframe here. I can also click and drag that keyframe. So don't think just because you added a keyframe it has to stay there. If you click and drag that to a different space or a different frame, you can move that keyframe, which is very helpful. So that's one way to do your one of your animations. And you'll notice that whatever you named your layer, the peg is going to be named that same thing, and then gives you the -p for peg. You can close it. The other way that you can animate is basically your frame by frame animation. So let's lock this and let's create a new drawing layer. I'll just do an orb. Just want to keep it simple. And we're going to start in frame 1. So I'm going to just do a simple dot. Let's do not red, and you'll see why in a bit. So let's do like a purple. And we're just gonna do an ellipse right here. See if it'll let me fill it in. Yep. Okay, so here's my little ball or orb. And which is nice because you can actually have like a little ball rolling down the hill with those keyframes. But I'm going to show you the frame by frame option. So frame by frame means exactly that. Every frame you're doing a different drawing. So here's my first frame. Now if I want to go to my second frame and I want to redraw that orb in a different spot, so let's say it's going to be, let's do the typical bouncing ball method. I need to turn on my onion skin. So this little, these little circles that look like a stack of pancakes is what I always think of right there. That turns on your onion skin. So now you'll see that there's a red ball. That's because it's showing you the previous layer. So that's, if I know that that's where the ball is, well, let's make another one. And let's put this up here. Let's stretch it. Maybe like somewhere here. Whoops. And then the next one, draw this another orb, another ball. And then the next one, whoops. So now you have a ball going up. Now the best way to view this is turn off your onion layer again, so you can see your animation. Also, if you want full control over your onion skin, if you go to Harmony Preferences, I think it's in Drawing. Yeah, so your drawing, this is where you have like how much your onion skin shows. So the maximum 0.8. So if you wanted to change this so that it's not as opaque. Oh, maximum opacity. Okay, so let's undo this. Let's do this to 0.5 maybe. Click OK. Turn this on. So you'll see it's more transparent. The other thing I want to point out is, let's say I want to copy the previous frame, so right here, and I want to select, or let's do Command C to copy, Command V to paste. So you can copy paste frames, but the problem is, let's Let's draw this right here. Let's see if this works. Yeah, so if you draw, sorry, if you draw in this new frame, like if you wanted to change or add something, then it's gonna do the same thing to the frame you copied. To fix that, let's go to this frame, right click, and let's do drawings, duplicate drawings. So now let's see, ooh, hold on, let's undo, let's delete this. Drawings, so, ooh, did I mess up? Hold on. Command C, Command V, or let's undo. Yeah, Command C, Command V, drawings. Let's do duplicate drawings. Now let's take this out, see if it changes any. Yep, there it is. So I was correct, I forgot to take away. So if I copy paste, so let's do that again. If I copy this frame, Command C, paste it here, Command V, and now if I need to right click drawings, duplicate drawing, or I think it's that shortcut's Command Shift D. And that way, if I wanted to add anything, and if I want to draw, whoops, wrong one. If I want to draw anything on it, it will not affect the drawing from before, because it's a duplicate, but it's not the same frame. It's just the same drawing. I don't know if that made sense. So again, right click, drawings, duplicate drawing, and then you can make your changes. So let me undo that scribble, and then let's go get this one, Command C, Command V, Command Shift D, I think is a shortcut. And then let's go back to this one, Command C, Command V. And if you're not making any changes, and you don't need to duplicate the drawing, but just in case. So there you go. And then, so that's the frame by frame drawing by using your onion skin and drawing in each frame, pretty much. So those are the two main ones, is using your keyframes and doing the frame by frame drawing. And just remember, you want to keep all your animations in a separate layer, because it's going to help out a lot. Make sure that you're naming your layers as well. It makes it so much easier to keep track of everything. And then once you're done with your animations, now there is no set length for this one unless I specified a specific length. But for this one, you're either, like I said, you're either animating one thing or animating 3 different things within your scene. And then once you're done, you're going to go to File, Export, and you're going to want to do, let's try movie for right now. I guess the GIF would work. Let's do the GIF one for this one, because you can loop it. So once you're exporting, you're going to do GIF, make sure the loop is on, you're going to put this in the correct animation folder. And then once you put the folder in, make sure that your frames are correct. I just put all my frames, just because it's going to take into account everything I did. And once you click OK, it'll export your GIF. And that's what you're going to submit.